When you do a custom painting, because you are limited to, let's just say in this particular situation, 48 colors, and there are 1 million colors in a photograph, it is going to be a limited palette. So you're gonna have blocks of color that create your paint by number. And I've discussed that in another video, and that explains why any paint by number is not going to look as much like an original photo, but especially when we have a custom and it has people in it. So anytime there's going to be skin, and there's especially a lot of background and these flowers over here, and they rendered this custom painting and they chose this palette, they had to choose a lot of colors for my bouquet and my ring and certain things like the background. So there was a limited amount of palette left for my skin. So that meant there weren't 30 available colors to do my face. So we're gonna have to create more colors to give my face that blended look. That's the best way I can think of to explain how to make the face look smoother, because there are transitions and transitional colors between each of these blocks of color. Now, the way I'm gonna proceed with this is that I was wearing makeup. There are men watching this. There are women who don't wear makeup or who may not know how to apply makeup, and you're gonna be like, okay, that doesn't help me at all. But I'm gonna kind of approach this in the way that I would apply my makeup. And I'm gonna explain it to you in that way. For those of you who don't wear makeup, this may help you. This is the natural look of your skin, whether you have makeup on or not, but that's how I'm gonna approach this, because your natural face has a contour on your jawline and around your cheekbones. It has a natural blush to it, and it has a natural highlight. So you also have natural color in your lips, whether you're wearing lipstick or not. So these are things that I'm gonna focus on when I bring back blending. Now, my eye is not green. I have blue eyes, okay? But when they rendered this painting, they didn't touch my iris to pull that blue out. So what happened is that the paint by number software pulled a green color for my eye. This is something I can manually fix. I'm not angry, you guys. I ain't mad, because I know I'm limited to a 48 color palette out of 1 million bazillion colors, okay? There's a bunch, and you cannot get that many in a 48 palette paint by number. So my point is this: we gonna fix what we wanna fix. At a distance, believe it or not, this painting looks really great. But as we get close, I see splotchy face Melanie, and I don't want to present my husband with a splotchy faced painting for Christmas. So I'm going to fix this to where it looks smoother and more lifelike. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to tell you what we're using here. And I have the new stainless steel palettes that are available at Melanie B's Creative Supplies. And I've also got my reference guide here, because that will tell me what colors I need for this section I'm going to be working on. I also have the paints, and you may not be able to see those. Let me zoom out a little bit, because I also have a close-up camera set up here, but you can see I have the paints here that I'm going to be using, and I've already got them kind of in the order of how they are going to be used in this section. And I also have my swatch guide, and most importantly, I have the blending brush set. These are the key to the blending process. So I have the mini mop brush, the chisel blender size 2, the chisel blender size 0, the angle 1/8, and the 1/16 angle. In addition, I have all the cleaning supplies to my right, and I am also using, and this is just one I have, this is called an extender. This is by Plaid folk art. It's very affordable. I got it on Amazon. I will post it in the description below. There will be a lot of links down there, you guys. You can click and go to find every product I'm using. I'm going to use what I consider to be the easiest method. This is going to look like, oh my God, what is she doing? It's not just because I'm lazy. It is because I'm going to call this time management blending, because I'm really in crunch time to finish this painting, and who has time to spend to work too hard, right? Work smarter, not harder. I'm also working at a really crazy angle, so I hope I'm able to get this blending done and make it look right. But what we're going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and put out the paints that I need. So this is 29, this is 30, 29, and I know you really can't see them. I put a light layer on so I can still actually see some of the numbers underneath. This one is 19, which is kind of my blush, and then this one here is 31, it's my contour. Then of course you got highlighting in here, which is the 29 and 30 together. So I'm going to use those as my guide. Let me put some paint on my palette. Now you can always add more. You can't really put it back, so that's why you don't see me add a ton. The way this method works the best is making sure it's wet. That's where the extender comes in. This is almost like a watercolor process. I want to make sure they're staying wet together, and this is going to apply almost like a translucent veil over all the colors. So I'm going to go in with this color here. This is the lightest color, which is 29, okay? And let's go ahead, let me show you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put this here, and you guys have seen me do something similar to this in a prior video. I'm gonna set these up in the order that I have them, but also in the order that I have them here. So 30, 29, 31, and 19, 31. So that way I know what I'm working with. All right, so I'm gonna put some extender here, just drip it on there, and use that as my wetting solution with the mini mop brush. Now, as soon as I get it wet, you notice it becomes a point. That is fine with me. Now, I'm also gonna grab a paper towel in case I need to get off any excess paint or anything. I'm just gonna keep it handy. And this is where the scary part comes in for a lot of people, because I'm just gonna go in here and I'm gonna start mixing stuff up. And I'm using this mid-tone thinned out. And if this is too light, I'm gonna pull in some other colors. And you can see there's not a ton on here. I'm gonna start going over in circle motions all of the area where these colors meet. Now you notice I'm not quite going over the entire section of 29, which is this lighter color, but you'll see what I'm gonna do here in a minute. And people right now will be freaking out going, oh my God, no, you're not. But yeah, I am. So as long as this is still wet, I'm just gonna continue to work with it. While it's wet, you're gonna lose total definition and detail. I'm gonna come up here because this pink right here is like, what is that doing there? But I'm gonna go ahead and blend over some of this other stuff that's right. I don't wanna go over my hair, so I'm gonna go ahead and take my finger and just kind of blend that out. But over the skin part, I'm gonna kind of bring it out and over. Now, this is my trick. I'm taking my finger. Y'all, you can get paint on your fingers, it's okay, because it washes right off, I promise. And I'm going to take this brush and just blend it and pull it, okay? And then I take my finger and I'm just gonna blend it around. And that's what the paper towel is for. I'm gonna pick up some more extender, making sure this is good and wet. I don't want to lighten my face down here too much. So once I'm getting down into this section, I'm gonna start picking up a tiny bit of the 31, which is what this is, and mixing them together, even though it looks light, okay? I probably have more of this in here. So let me get a little more of this. Let's get mostly this color and let's get it mixed. Now what this is gonna do is not only it's gonna blend me out, but it's also gonna cover up any numbers that might have been showing because I didn't get super coverage to begin with on that first layer. And I'm just gonna I'm not coming down in here. I don't want to lose the definition on my jawline yet. And I'm going to start covering up, bringing it up. Now that little wisp is my hair, so I'm going to avoid that. Now in order to not see the little circles too much that I'm making, that's why I come in and with my finger, I'm going to just blend that out and over. And if it wipes off some paint, don't worry about it. Like, y'all, it's just paint, right? Just paint, just paint. Okay. So I've got a little darker paint on here. Let's go ahead because this up in here is actually some 31. And I can tell because on my reference guide under here, 31 comes up a little bit into that area under here. So it's okay if I've got some 31 on my brush because what's going to happen is, see right in here, I'm going to mix 31 and that's 30, right? Together and overlap to where those are blending. And you see how it's starting to smooth out. Let me get a little bit of this. So I'm not rinsing my brush, you notice. I'm not going to the water rinsing. I'm going to put it in this extender and I'm going to come to my paper towel and get off excess liquid. But I'm coming back because I can still see where 31 is, which is the little darker color. Get a little bit of that. And let's mix, like totally mix them together. And so we're going in with the 30 and 31 and then bringing them back together, and just where the line met those two here, we're going to kind of bring them up anywhere those two meet. Let's make sure we, whoops, sorry. Okay. And anywhere they meet, we will just kind of blend them around. Now they don't meet down here, but we're going to take some of that in here too. And you guys are probably like, is she just really winging it right now? Yeah, I'm totally winging it. Because that is what I do. And up in here, same thing. This is 31 up in here because there's some darkness. I'm not trying to lose the darkness at all. Like because my face will look super round if I lose darkness. I've got to maintain definition or my face is going to look like a bowling ball. But this is supposed to be 31 in here, not whatever color I painted it. So let's bring back that definition because that gives me that little smile line, right? But I also want to maintain this color in my cheek. So let's pick up a tiny, tiny bit of that. Let's add a little extender. Now this will stay wet a while because it is extender and not water. Let's mix the 19 with the 31 here because this is where these are going to mix, right? And let's pretend like this is some blush, right? Blush, blush. I just want to blend it there. I don't want to totally get rid of that pretty color that's in there. I'm going to rinse my brush now because I'm going to totally change up the color because I want to go back in with 31 and 19. Now that I've got it on there, I take my finger, because if you were putting on makeup, you don't just slap on makeup and leave harsh lines, right? You want it blended as if it is real on your skin. So let's get some regular color down in here in the jawline. so I can bring back some definition. Now I'm not going to mess with yet that part. I want that depth, because that is going to give me a distinctive jawline. So I'll mess with that in a little bit. Do want to blend all that. Make sure I get that little section blended. All right, now you're starting to see how quickly this is coming together, right? So let's go in here and start adding some highlights, because if we were adding makeup and we wanted to highlight, we'd want to make sure that our highlight is on our cheek. That's where the sun naturally hits your cheeks. I'm going to put a little more extender here. I say a little bit. It doesn't matter how much extender you get, because you're only going to pick up a little at a time. And water down our 29, which is our lightest color, really light. Pick up a little bit of the 31. You see there's no science to this, you guys, really. Okay, now where would the sun hit my cheeks? They have it here already. So let's go ahead and overlap. And if this doesn't look like where it would hit once it dries, I can perfect it. If it's too low, I can adjust it. So I feel like it needs to, let's come up a little bit. That's where they had it originally. And then I'm going to bring up, so I'm going to keep that, a little bit of that color on there. And then I'm going back in with the blush color and the 31. And watering it down pretty well. And we're going to come back over and blend those back together. Whoops, I keep bumping this thing. And then I'm going to take my finger and make sure there's a beautiful blend there. I don't want to overwork this. It's very easy to overwork it. And that's about to be what's going to happen. So I will allow this to dry, because I want to make sure I get some of this blush back in here. And I don't want those little circles to be showing like they're doing right now. So don't worry, I'm not leaving it like this. All right, so while it's like that, let me clean my brush, because I want to get that peachy color off. And I'm coming back with the lightest. And we're gonna adjust that. And then with a dry mini mop, I'm gonna take it and lift up and blend in some of, going in different directions, and just kind of blend those together just like I would if I was doing my own makeup. I'm gonna take my finger and just softly blend those together. Now I'm gonna let it dry, because I have overworked some and I don't want to undo and redo. So while it dries, it's gonna start looking a little splotchy, and then I'm gonna come back to it and reassess what needs to be done. And you see how easy it is just to start picking up colors and just start mixing them. But the big thing is to know when to stop and to step away, let it dry, and come back. Okay, so let's do that, and I will be back in just probably a few minutes, and we'll keep working and decide what needs to be done next. All right, now that it's dry, can you guys see how smooth that is? Like baby's butt smooth, and I wish my skin really looked like that. So I'm leaving it alone, and I'm not messing with that part anymore. Now I could go back and maybe perfect it not looking so much blush, you know, like if I was wearing makeup, I wouldn't want super harsh blush or whatever. So I may do that later, but for right now, I'm super happy with how blended it is, as far as not looking choppy like this side does. Let's talk about what to do in the jawline, because I need to preserve the jawline. I do not want it to look like I have no neck. So the reason this darkness is here is because that is a shadow where my jawline comes down, and there's darkness from my face. So I want to preserve that, or it's going to look like I have no shape or definition to my face, and it's going to look rounder than it normally does. So I need to make sure I maintain that darkness there. So I do have my colors still here on my palette, but I want to go ahead and pull out the colors that I need for that darkness there. I'm not worried about that lighter tint going in there. I'm not worried about it at all, actually. And then I'm going to get a little bit of the lighter of the two colors here, which was 33. And I'm going to go ahead and mix these two, so 33 and 16, getting a lot more extender. I want it very watered down. And then I'm going to just, with really small circles, start blending these two together. Now I'm going to take this a little further and just lightly pull it around my jawline and down. And if I feel like later that's kind of harsh, once it dries, that I don't need that much depth there, I'll come back with a lighter, one of these lighter colors. In fact, I'll go ahead and do that now, I don't want it to be too much, and I don't want it to come up onto my face, because I need the distinction between face and neck. Now that color is, let me look at my reference guide. Okay, so that's 31, which we have right here. So I'm going to blend a little bit of that in here. So I'm maintaining the original color. And I'm going to wipe this off, get most of that dark color off, get a little 19, and I'm going to rinse the brush, tap off the excess, and then go back with 31. And 31, I'm not adding a bunch of liquid or extender to, and I'm going to pull it into 19. This is going down into my shoulder right here. I'm going to take some of this and just add some wispy little strokes into that skin color, because in a second, I'm going to take those colors and start blending them in too. So let's take that and go over what we have here, so it's all starting to look more unified. I'm also going to take those strokes and blend them into the next color. And then picking up the next color and doing the same thing while it's still very wet. And it's going to look real like strokes, like a lot of stroke marks right now. But you know how I do with my fingertips. I'm just going to kind of blend it, make sure. So I'm kind of patting it. I don't want to take it off. I just want to smooth it. And now, before it gets really dark and harsh right in there, let's clean the brush. And I'm going to take the other mini mop and fluff it up a little bit. And before that dries, let's go in with 31. Let's get some fresh extender. And I want some of that leaking in. That's actually perfect. Let's get it nice and wet here. Let's start letting it blend into each other so that it's got a nice transition. This is looking so harsh. It's time to start adding some of that lighter color. So let's see what light colors we have on my shoulder blade. So 29 is my lightest color here. Let's get some of this light extender into 29 and preserve this before it gets too muddy. And then later I can come back. Well, I'll go ahead and grab 45. And you can see how this can almost become addictive. Like you're just sitting here and you just want to keep going. Let me grab 45. Now you can see that 45 is super light, almost white, because of the way the sun hit my skin. It's definitely got highlights going on there. So let's pick up some of this super light extender here. Start blending that with 29 in here. I'm going to just take it while it's still very damp. Start blending out any harsh lines. Wiping off any excess. And then smoothing it out. So I'm going to come back over this with the darker mix here. And then start pulling in 31 mixed with these two. So we're getting a range of this color. And I'm just going to gradually start blending it in. If it starts getting too dark, add a little more of the 31. So we're just trying to get a nice range. Lightly blend with my finger. And then I'm going to clean the brush because I'm about to go into some light colors. And picking up this extender here with 31 and 29. I'm going to just use light strokes because I don't want it to be too dark. I'm going to get more extender. And more light color. Clean the brush and go into the lightest color, the lightest extender. See how it looks like it's got divided sections? We don't want that. If I had a dry mini mop, there'd be a good opportunity for me to kind of take it in. But right now, I'm just going to kind of pat and get rid of those lines by taking it and going in that direction to remove them. And then when it's dry, I can look at it and see what I need to do and where I need to really work on the fixing, the issues. And that's the big thing, because like I said earlier, you can overwork it and then you're like, oh no, because it starts looking good, and then you just keep working it until you're like, okay, I've overdone it. So I'm taking the brush and I'm blending it, and then I'm wiping it on my paper towel. So I'm really not putting any product, any paint at anything right now. I'm just using this clean brush and blending them together. Okay, so let's let that dry. And then once it dries, I can see what I need to do. Instead of showing you the same technique over and over again, I'm going to use the mini mop and do this part of my face. I will time lapse it, and then I'm going to use the angle brush to do my lips, and I will come back and show you how I do that. In the actual photo, I went to look and I didn't see a lot of pink. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my flesh tone colors, and I'm actually going to cover that pink with the flesh tone colors so that the pink shows through and gives the flesh tone that pink undertone without covering it completely, but it gives me that little glow that I love to have in my natural skin. So that is the plan here, and that's what I'm going to be doing while I'm working so that you'll know and why I'm not using the pink. Okay, so I'm kind of liking that my skin looks like a baby's butt. So, loving it. And so anyway, let's work on the lips. I'm going to go ahead and close up these pots. I know I have this much left to do, and I'm not going to do it because you see how I'm doing that. I'm not going to continue to do that on camera. I don't want to make this video last 100 years because it's already going to be very long, but I do want to show you how to use the other brushes on the smaller areas. I'm going to grab the colors that are necessary to do the lip color, and then I'm going to pull the brushes and we're going to get started on that. And I'm going to do a couple of things. I think I'm going to start with the angle brushes and do maybe this exact method first. I'm actually going to do this as if I was lining my lips. And I'm going to cheat a little bit because I want this to come down a little further and give me some fullness. And then I'm going to work with these colors, which I've already put on my palette, and I'm going to blend them together so they're not so separated and make them work together better. So I have the 1/8 inch angle brush, and I also have the 1/16 angle brush. And it's funny because this angle brush is so slightly angled because it's got a 1/16 of an inch angle to it that you almost cannot even see the angle. But that is what makes it work in small areas like this. So that's what I'm going to start with. I'm going to go in, and I have these in the order of how I need them. This one's number 8, number 9, and number 7. So this is 8, 9, and in here is number 7, which you can barely see because it blends so much with number 9, which is hard to believe because number 9 is more of a coral color and that 7 is so pink. But I think it's because I only put one layer to start with. I think I'm going to try the bigger brush first and see how I like that. And then I'm going to just hold the 1/16 and kind of go back and forth. But I'll tell you what I'm doing as I'm doing it. I need to get my brush wet first because any conditioning agent that is on the brush needs to be remove to make the brush soft to begin with. And I want to take off any water, any excess water. And then let's go in with number 8, picking up just a little bit. Let's start lining my lips. And I'm going to go a little over the dark line that creates the line of my mouth, but not a lot. Oh, let me get some extender too, because I want to overlap number 9 here so I can start to blend these two together. So in the zigzag method, if you remember how that worked, some of you may not have ever seen it. What you're going to do is you're going to kind of take a little cross hatch and you're going to go over the line where the two colors meet. And you're going to take one color, start crossing over into the other color, like that. All right, now I'm gonna go to the smaller brush and clean this one off really quickly, and I'm reshaping it on my cosmetic wipe before I put it down. Let's go into the 1/16. I think this one might work better. Let's get it wet, reshape it on the cosmetic wipe, just so it's loose and ready to go. I'm gonna pick up, since I've already put down the number 8, I'm going to go into number 9, get a little extender just so it's got some movement to it. Pick up number 9, and then I'm going to start overlapping with the number 8 so they start to blend together and almost like an X motion and back and forth. And you can start to see how that's blending them together. So I'm going to pick up more of extender, just a dot of extender. Let me move my palette up. Make sure you can see everything I'm doing. Get a dot of extender, a little bit of this number 9. Let's go in, overlap number 8, where the lines are meeting, and just kind of back and forth. And then I'm going to go back to number 8, tiny dot. You see this little tiny dot? Pick up some extender. And let's go back and forth again where those lines meet. And do you see how it's starting to blend those colors together beautifully, where that line is no longer existing? And this angle brush is perfect for it. So now I'm going to just pull in number 9 and start filling in where the number 9 was by itself. I'm going to go back to number 8. I'm not cleaning my brush. And I'm going to start pulling in number 8 and then back over across that line into number 9. And that's going to achieve a very gradual blend of those two colors to where that line is going to become non-existent. And you just work it back and forth a little bit until it's gone. Now you see it's invisible. That line does not exist at this point. Now if it dries and you're starting to see it, you go over it a little bit more, doing the same thing. That is all you have to do. Now I did put the little bit of pink here for my lips, but I actually think I'm going to put a little bit of that number 9 there for a natural color. And if I don't like it, I can go in with a different color, or I can take it off completely. I might even go back, and just remove it. I don't know yet. So I'm gonna just work this a little bit. Now, one other color, it's right in here and it's 16. And then of course, the line between my mouth is that what I like to call Dookie Brown. And I don't remember putting on Dookie Brown that day, but it's actually where my lips meet. And you know, that is why there's this little line here. But that line is not completely straight. So as I'm working, if it gets, you know, made looking straighter, I'm okay with that. A little crooked smile. But I'm going to go ahead and pick up 16, and it's actually right in here. I'm going to clean it up a little bit. Because of the way the shadows and the lights are hitting, even though there's pink on the top of my lips, it looks more neutral up here. I'm gonna grab the larger angle brush. So I don't know what this little part is here, but I don't have lip injections. And I'm going to go back and try to fix whatever this little thing is, because that is not part of my picture. I don't know what that is. Like, why do I have this little blip on my lip? So I can fix that as I work. Now there's a light color here and I'm struggling to see what color it is. So I think there's a little bit more of this color actually up in here. And even though I do want it to blend, I definitely want to make sure it's preserving that little bit of pink, or it's going to look weird that this is so neutral and that is so pink, you know. And I'm actually going to tone this one down. You know why, you guys? Because it's my painting. And if this seems too bright, because I wasn't wearing a fluorescent pink lipstick, I was wearing a very neutral pink, I can make this as neutral pink as I want. In fact, if I want to go in here and mix these and create a pink that is more comfortable, then I can do that. And it's not a problem. I don't want my lipstick to look flat, because my lipstick doesn't look flat. I always have a little pop of like highlight color, you know, on the center of my lip kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like right there. And so I can even add that back and then blend that out. So like I'm going to do that right there and leave that there, but I'm going to make sure it's blended. And see you see what I'm saying? Like that way looks more like what I would normally wear. But you can customize. It's not like you can't fix it how you want. Now, I'm gonna leave it like that for right now until I figure out what that thing is going on my lip. My top lip looks like I have no definition in it. So I need to pull out my photograph and see. There is something here that I'm not able to determine. I do want to put a little, I think there's something that's supposed to come up a little bit. But again, oop, wrong color. It's just paint. But again, I don't have injections. So I'm not sure. So I will put a little neutral over that. Blend it out. And figure out what the heck's going on there. Because of the angle, the sun's not going to be hitting over here like it would. So I can tone that down again. Like, it's just a matter of what makes sense. Right in here, it needs to be darkened back up because that's where the lips curve into where the mouth closes. I'll leave it alone and go back, look at the photograph and make the adjustments based on that. But I wanted you to see how you can blend those smaller areas like that. Okay, so I'm back after doing 90% of the blending in my face. And what I decided to do was to stop editing all of the content that I had done up till that point where I had done the lips. You guys didn't get to see where I had blended all this side of the face because I ended up recording all of that. But the video that I did for the brushes, so it took about 3 days to record, and then it has taken 10 days to edit. And when I say 10 days, I mean with other things going on in life. The bottom line is that I did all of this for the video, and then I realized I cannot upload 3 hours worth of blending, you know, because the method is the same for this part right here. I literally, you guys, use the mini mop brush on all of this. So the angle brushes you saw me use here. So here's what I still need to do. And honestly, this painting needs to be complete in 3 days. This is a gift from my husband. I mean, he knows about it, obviously. I've been working on it for 100 and something hours now in the middle of the den where I can be comfortable and watch TV. So it's not like it's a surprise for him. But this was going to be for a Black Friday ad. And today is Tuesday before Black Friday. So, you know, my goal is to finish this. And you're probably looking at this going, are you flipping kidding me right now? Well, you know how I do. I've been working on this for a month and a half, but I also have life to live and I have other responsibilities. So although I've been working on it constantly, it's a time-consuming process. It's a very large custom piece, very detailed. So it's taken some time. The bottom line is, there's still blending to do, but it will not take me long. And I am going to kind of peruse through this. I'm going to rotate this around so you can see it at the right angle. And then I'm also going to open up my phone and show you the actual photo and tell you what I still would like to do to this piece to perfect it. Now from a distance, this looks perfected. But when you're as close as you are right now, you'll probably see some things that I need to do. So let me rotate it. And then one day I'm going to come back and tell you what kind of surface I work on, because I do not work on an easel, but I have a couple of things that I'm going to talk about one day that are phenomenal for working on besides an easel. They are fantastic. All right, so let me get the photo really quickly. And I wish I had a larger photo to compare it to so you could see a little bit better, but we're just going to do this kind of a side-by-side. And I'm not talking about the photo that came with the painting. I'm talking about the actual photo. This is going to be hard to see because, let me brighten my screen. Well, my screen's super bright. The problem is my screen is on warm and I cannot set it on cool for even a minute or it will trigger a migraine. But I have no desire for this to look exactly like my photo, okay? Let me put that out there right quick, because this is going to be put up either on the mantle, because that's where my husband keeps saying he wants it, which is a 17-foot ceiling, cathedral ceiling, and the mantle is about 10 feet high. I have no issues with it going up there just like it is right here, okay? The only thing I want to change on my face, this part doesn't even bother me that it's still got some patchiness. I'm not even worried. The only thing I want to do is kind of emphasize as it is here, and I hope you can see it, is that I have more distinctive cheekbones in real life, and I want to make this little bit of my cheek more chiseled. I'm gonna put a little bit more depth here and a little bit more highlight right there. Okay, all right. So I went back and added a little highlight to my lip right there. The other part that I will be doing, and I am gonna rotate this back just a minute. I'm not even gonna mess with the flowers. I'm not blending anything in the flowers. My hand over here looks kind of like a claw, which it does look a little weird down here. You know, I'm not super concerned, you know, with very meticulous blending. That will not take me 5 minutes to blend out with my mop brush, okay? It won't take long at all. will blend that out like I've done up here, no problem. And down in this private area, I'm going to use some lighter colors and kind of soften that up because I do not have that much of a tan. And the shadows are actually fine. I'm just going to blend those shadows a little bit more to not, you know, to make them not look so harsh. My hand, my arm down in here, blending those shadows, blending this a little better, softening it basically, but not even really blending it as much as softening it. And the same on my arms here. And some of the veil. The veil is not blue. Gosh, I hope you can see this. The way that the light was casting on the veil, it gave it a blue tint. So, you know, I'm going to leave some of that, but I will probably go over it with the lightest tint of blue, which is almost like a silvery blue, and watered down. That will just go over the entire veil, and that will give it an overall smoothness. So at some point after this whole thing is done, I would love to come back and just post a, y'all, this is it. This is what that custom painting finally looked like, you know, just as an update, so that you know that I do actually complete projects. But when people want to say to me, how come you don't ever show us your completed projects? It's because if one painting takes 150 hours, how many 150 hours do you think I have to spend? If I'm also recording, and if I'm also editing, and if I'm also packing packages for my daughter's store, and if I'm also taking care of my family and cooking dinners and cleaning houses, and and I'm in a flare up, which means I'm in bed because I cannot move my body. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, I have a life outside of this. I mean, I love this, but anyway. Oh, you'll also notice that I did go ahead and make that eye blue. I had this color here already. That's one of the things my husband was like, now your eyes are blue. I want to make sure they look blue. And so, you know, even from a distance, that may not even be noticeable once this is stretched and framed or whatever, but those are things he noticed. And he was like, I want to make sure that cheekbone, your cheekbones are beautiful. And I mean, you know, if he's going to specify the things he wants to see, I'm going to make sure I work on those things. So I will continue to blend that little part a little bit more because I didn't do any more on that. But you see how that looks now that it's dry? It does need more blending because I never finished over here. But you see how from the distance, it looks much better once it dried and it smoothed out. So once I put another layer over that, it will be perfect. Things are a lot more splotchy in the camera because it's high definition than it is in true life and when it's further back. I will include the before and after picture, before blending, after picture at the end of this video so that you can see the difference and how these brushes worked and why I designed them. Because if you can blend easily, I know blending is an intimidating process, but if you've got brushes that make it a little easier for you and a technique that is not quite as intimidating, like using the mini mop with the extender and just kind of playing with it, then I feel like you can jump into it without being afraid of the process. So I want you to give it a go, and I'd love to hear your feedback once you've tried it. And for you guys who have not joined the group yet, be sure to go join the group. There are a lot of positive people over there. We do not put up with negativity. And that way you can get advice from me and from others who have either tried the techniques or who will encourage you and support you through it. All right, you guys. Thank you for enduring these very long videos. I appreciate you being here as always. You guys, all the stuff that I've used today and all these videos will be in the links below in the description. If there are too many products or too much to put in the description below, I will link you to a page on the website that will give you all that information, okay? So that you'll be able to find it and get all the products that you need. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you back soon.